I recently saw more senators supporting a federal gun licensing bill. We'll ponder what that means next on the Constitution Study.
There's one thing you have to know wherever you make your stand. Came from a long through line of everyday Americans.
Hello there, everyday Americans. Paul Engel here with the Constitution Study, where we read and study the Constitution. We teach the rising generation to be free. We are helping Americans secure the blessings of liberty for themselves and for their posterity, and I am glad you could join me. As always, I'm going to point you to that website, constitutionstudy.com, where you find everything that's going on. You can sign up for the newsletter, find out once a month what's new coming up, where I'm going to be speaking. You can get my articles and videos delivered to your inbox when I release them. Forget trying to find them on Facebook, YouTube. Don't have to go searching. They're right there. You can have them emailed to you. You can support the work that we're doing. You can find information to share. ConstitutionStudy.com. That is the hub of everything we're working on at the Constitution Study. Now, with that, I want to take a little bit of time and talk about this idea of federal gun licensing. So as I like to do, rather than reading all the news articles and taking their word for it, I actually went to the bill and read it myself. I love it when the very first sentence of the bill is a lie. So the bill starts out, a bill to end the epidemic of gun violence and build safer communities by strengthening firearms laws and supporting gun violence research, intervention, and prevention initiatives. Well, right off the bat, there is no epidemic of gun violence. Now, I did just a little bit of research, and by a little bit, I mean I went and searched the web for gun violence statistics and started looking at what I found. Actually, I did do a star.gov to make sure I was getting government statistics, not information from other organizations, so there would be no question of bias. The most relevant information I found is from the Bureau of Justice Statistics, a federal bureau, and their crime victimization report of 2018. And right there on the very first page is a chart showing the percentage of U.S. residents ages 12 or older who are victims of violent crime between 1993 and 2018. And if you take a look at it, it's not going up. It's going down. Well, there's a little blip up here, but it's nothing like the epidemic we had back in the 90s. So then I scrolled down a little farther and I looked at some of the stuff, and I eventually got to this chart, which shows the rate of violent victimization and rate of violent victimization reported to the police. And I also see that the numbers are going down. So no, we don't have an epidemic of violent crime. Violent crime has been going down across the board throughout the entire nation. Now the question then becomes, what about firearms? What about guns? So I went a little farther down and I found this table, which I found two very interesting things. First, the table only goes to 2004. If we look at the chart, we see that 2014 is near the beginning of this plateau of violent crime at the low level, not the high level, not an epidemic. So they've restricted the data to what's already the plateau of violent crime. And then when I look at it closer, you know what I find? A plateau of violent crime with weapons. All weapons. Firearms, knives, you name it. If they could call it a weapon, there's a plateau. There's not the epidemic that is mentioned in this bill. What we have is an epidemic of self-seeking opportunists looking for the chance to take away your rights or to gather some money to do some research to prove why they should be allowed to take away your rights. So when the very reason for the bill is a lie, you got to figure the bill's going to be pretty bad. And it didn't take very long. Right there in Title I, right at the beginning, Section 932, Item A, quote, in general, except otherwise provided in this section, it shall be unlawful for any individual who is not licensed under this section to knowingly purchase, acquire, or possess a firearm or ammunition. Now, I don't care if you like guns or not. I don't care if you think they're the greatest thing since sliced bread or if you're terrified of them. I have one very simple question. Name me one other right protected by the Constitution where you need the government's permission to exercise it. I'll wait. Yeah, can't think of one? Because there isn't one. This is the only place where they want you to get permission from the federal government to exercise your right under the protected by the Constitution to keep and bear arms. I hate to remind these senators, but the Second Amendment says the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. It won't be denied. It won't be reduced. It shall not. This is the most blatant violation of the Constitution I've seen in a while. Because even people that argue, well, you know, the Constitution or the Bill of Rights is only supposed to apply to the federal government. This is the federal government doing it. Well, it's not really infringing. Really? You need to go, Mother, may I permission? May I actually possess a tool to save my life or the life of my family? May I purchase the ammunition that I need to make that piece of hardware work? Please, may I? What happens when they apply this Second Amendment rule to the First Amendment? Are you going to need permission from the government to start a home church or to start a church, period? Just like in communist China. Are you going to need permission from the government? Are you going to have to get a permit to speak in public? Or to start a newsletter? Or have a website? Or a podcast? Are you going to need a permit from the federal government to gather with a group of your friends? Are you going to need a permit to petition your government for a redress of grievance? And that's only the First Amendment. What happens when you need a permit to exercise your right to counsel? You're arrested and you say, hey, I want my lawyer. Well, we have to go to the federal government to get a permit for that. Well, yes, we issued this warrant without probable cause, but you didn't have a permit that said we couldn't. Yes, we took your property for public use, but we don't really have to reimburse you because you didn't have a permit to use it from us in the first place. Ladies and gentlemen, this is tyranny. This is done every time a totalitarian government wants control of the people. One of the first things they do is take away their ability to defend themselves. What happens when every gun owner in America is registered with the federal government? Then the federal government knows where to go when they want to get guns off the street, when they want to get the people's ability to protect themselves from the government away from them. Look at history. It was done to the Jews in Nazi Germany. It was done to the Chinese before Mao. It's been done in every totalitarian. It was done in Venezuela. It was been done in every totalitarian regime to get control of the people. You take away their guns. Even the British, when we were a colony, wanted to take away the people's guns to defend themselves against an oppressive government. Look it up. That's why we fought the battles of Lexington and Concord. They were coming for our ammo. They were coming to seize the powder house. They were coming for the colonists' ammo, and they said, So what are we going to do here? American people, what are you going to do? Are you going to let the people that work for you, that represent your states, since these are senators, are you going to let them even discuss such a bill? Why are we even wasting time on this? Tell me, why are not the American people ringing their phones off the hook? Why are they not burying their emails? Why are they not flooding their offices with letters going, ain't no way. You have no legal authority to require us to get your permission to exercise a right. It says right there, shall not be infringed. And I don't care what legal linguistic gymnastics you perform, if you're telling me I have to ask permission, that's an infringement on my right. And if we're going to let them infringe on that right, what's going to stop them when they go to infringe on our other rights? Again, I don't care if you like guns or not. If you hate guns, do you really want the government requiring you get permission from them to exercise a right protected by the Constitution? If you think we shouldn't have guns in civilian hands, then let me ask you this. Why are you not fighting to repeal the Second Amendment? That would at least be legal. That would at least be honest. This is neither legal nor honest. This is tyranny. And it will continue until we, the people, stand up. When are we going to stand up? When are we, like the militia at Lexington and Concord, going to stand and say, stand your ground, we will not give up? When will we say, we will not fire upon you, but if you mean to have war, come and get it? Because if we do not stop an out-of-control government now, when will we stop it? How many of our rights need to be infringed before we'll say that's enough? How weak will we have to become before we're willing to stand up and say this far and no farther? This is not a gun question. This is a rights question. This is an enumerated power question. If you even can entertain the idea that the federal government has the right to require you get their permission to exercise any constitutional right, we've lost liberty. Any law that infringes on your right destroys the blessings of liberty. And if we don't stand up for this, when will you stand up? So think about that, America. Ponder that as you go into the rest of your week. And ask yourself, are you going to stand for another power grab, for another infringement on your rights, for the government ruling and dictating over you? Or are you going to be a free people? Our national anthem says we're the land of the free and the home of the brave. Are we? Are we free if we have to ask government permission to exercise our rights? And are we brave if we are too cowardly to stand up to their infringements? So I hope this got you riled up. I hope you're already on your phone to your senator, and I hope you found it useful enough that you'll come back next time for the Constitution Study.
There's one thing you have to know wherever you make your stand. Came from a long through line of everyday America.